The Proactive Parenting Academy invites you to a one-week-long parenting conference with 20 speakers from around the world: Nigeria, USA, UK, Sweden, Australia, Asia, amongst others. Theme: Proactive Parenting at a Time Like This. Date: 22nd August till 27th August 2022. Time: 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Venue: live on the Proactive Parenting Academy pages on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Speakers: Vivian Okoye, convener, Dr. Ife Obano, Dr. Vivian Okoye, Professor E.A. Itoma, Professor Umwacha Ogechukwu, Runke Adeniyi, Prince Alex Madujemo, Fina Chichi, Professor Henry Odianose Limonde, Sandra Oluwadari, Chris Chokonyeri, Deaconess Ijoma Uba Onjuku, Ade Jones, Sheun David Olorinde, Nene Chinyemirim Oluwagbonhu, Mohe Francis Oko, Mabeth Chima, Chinyere Obina, Neme Boham. Come, let's build more capacity for productive parenting.
So welcome everybody for the last session. Thank you for being here again. Our speaker is here already, and we'll be reading her profile in a moment before we can bring her in.
Dr. Vivian Okoye is a firm believer, preacher, and executor of parenting as the root of all sustainable development. A doctor of optometry by training, Vivian's mission transcends her role as a certified child psychologist, a professional parents coach, a certified neuro-linguistic practitioner, a seasoned speaker, and author of Nigeria's foremost toddler parenting book. Please make welcome Dr. Vivian Okoye.
Thank you, doctor, for coming. Thank you so much, sis, for coming. Yes.
So, for some reason, every year I tend to broadcast from my car for your conference, and I don't know that. I tried to avoid it. I tried so much to avoid it today, but still I couldn't miss it.
I was about saying that.
Fine. How are we doing? Good evening, everyone. I'm super
We
excited.
understand. Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much for being here. We understand.
Thank you for having me. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I'm so amazed at what you're doing, and I'm sure that the so much justice to the conversation that we are having, and the topic of the conversation is so needed, because at a time like this, like the theme says, we really need to be very proactive with what we're doing with our kids, with our parenting, and every other thing, right? And I'm super excited to be speaking on the topic, finding yourself to parent in this time, because
so
now
you
go to
parent
your child, right? You're still the one that would have to raise the child that God has given you, and it takes you to raise that child. And if you don't find yourself, you will not be able to raise your child to become all that God has made them to become, right? So of you that you need to go and find? Is it that, what exactly do we mean when we say you need to find yourself to actually raise your children? And what we mean by this is that there is a you that is needed to raise your child. When God gave your child to you, he gave it to the authentic you, to the you that he created and sent to the world. And he knows that he has put inside of you all that it takes, all that is required to raise your child, all that is required to bring that child and lead that child to destiny. Right? Remember that when we talk about parenting and when we try to define parenting, we say that parenting is not about you. Parenting is not about raising a mini me. Parenting is not about the degrees. It's not about the clothes that your children wear. It's not about the food that you feed them, but it's about leading your child to fulfill purpose. Raising a child who is being, who is doing, and who is having all that God wants them to have. So if you're raising a child and your child is not being who God wants them to be, your child is not doing what God wants them to do, then you might not be doing it well. You might not be doing parenting right. And for you to even raise a child who would be and who would do what God would want them to do, for you to raise a child who will fulfill purpose, then you need to be a purposeful person. You need to be living out in purpose. You need to be a purposeful parent. You need to be a person who understands their purpose, who is being their true self in their own life, so that you can also be a model of that to your children. Right? Are we together? Are we together? I like to know that I'm not speaking to myself. Are we together? If I can see your chat and your comments, so I know that I'm not speaking to myself. Are we together? Are we together? I can't hear you, Vivian.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
Can you hear
Check
me?
yes, I can. Check your comment section. People are responding on the
Okay,
comment.
okay, all right, thank you. So I, for some time I thought I was speaking to myself. All right, so so essentially that is the whole essence of parenting, right? Raising children who will fulfill purpose. And what does it mean to find yourself, to raise children who will fulfill purpose? What it means is that you have to find your true self. You have to reconnect to your true self. You have to, become your authentic self. And when we say becoming your authentic self, why does it mean that we are not our authentic self? What happened to our true selves? Why do we need to reconnect to our true selves? Now, what happens is that from the moment where when you were born, through your journey to becoming adults, right, you would have had experiences, you would have had, informations, you would have had trainings that might have altered who you are. So let me give you an example. A typical example would be somebody who was born as a very vivacious, active, lively, and outspoken person, right? So maybe you were born like that, but you were raised by parents who were very strict. They did not allow you to speak out. You were always beaten for speaking out. You were always beaten for expressing yourself. And then you went to maybe a missionary school where you were also regimented. You were not allowed to speak out. You are not allowed to, be yourself. You have these experiences through your life, then you grow up, and then you become this rigid person, and that is the new identity that you have taken as a person. And this is who you now become, and you think this is who I am. Meanwhile, this is not who you really are. And you find out that when you have opportunities to express yourself, when you have opportunities to express that your lively, your real authentic self, there's something inside of you that tells you that you would enjoy it. You should express yourself. There's something inside of you nudging you to, express yourself, live free, free yourself, speak up, do the things you want to do. But because of the trainings that you have gotten, because of the experiences that you have gotten over the years, you see yourself shrinking back. You don't want to express. You don't want to, because maybe, oh, people will judge me. Oh, maybe this is not what I'm used to. Or maybe I shouldn't step outside of the box. So you have taken a new identity from the original identity that is really you. So this is why we say, for you to actually parent and raise your children effectively, you have to reconnect to your authentic self. You have to come to that place where you accept yourself for who you are, where you become your true sense of self, expressing truly who you are, because there is something in you that is connected to who your child is. So for instance, if you are this vivacious person, right, it will be easier for you to raise a vivacious child if God has given you a vivacious child, if God has given you a child who is lively and expressive. When you come into your real self of being this lively and expressive person, it's easier for you to connect with your child. It's easier for you to allow your child to express themselves and to live out their life the way God has made them. But if you are still contained in your idea of who you should be, your idea of, the trainings that you have received, your idea of what people expect you to be, and you have taken this identity of a strict person, you have taken this identity of a rigid person, you have taken this identity of somebody, oh, I shouldn't speak loudly, I shouldn't laugh out loud, I shouldn't talk, and all of that. You will struggle if you have a child who is vivacious and who is lively. So I don't know if you are making the connection as to why you need to find yourself, why you need to reconnect with your true self, why you need to be your authentic self. Because children are authentic. Children will express themselves. They are not thinking about how you feel, they're not thinking about what you think, they just want to be themselves. But because we are, as adults, we have been conditioned to adjust ourselves, to be fake, to wear masks, to adjust ourselves to please people, we then suppress our children. We try to press them down. We try to not accept them for who they are. And this is not to say that when you accept your children for who they are, that you will not, guide them to become who they ought to be, right? The idea is that every one of us has a personality, right? And in every personality, there are advantages and disadvantages. There are strengths and weaknesses, right? But for you to even know what the strengths and weaknesses are in each personality, you have to accept the person for who they are. So, for instance, I have a child who is outspoken, which one of the weaknesses might be talkativeness, which one of the weaknesses might be that the child will be rude or interrupting conversations when they're not invited, right? First of all, I have to accept that my child is an outspoken person, and also how you perceive it is important. So if you label your child in the negative, your child's identity might become like a problem to you. But if you label it in the positive, right, then it will serve you and it will help you to show up for your child in a way that serves both of you. So pay attention to how I'm labeling it, right? So I'm saying this child is outspoken. I'm not saying this child is a talkative. I'm not saying this child is aggressive. I'm not saying this child is rude, right? So when I accept that my child is actually expressive, I can now show up to this child as a parent who want to help them harness their quality. So my role as a parent now is to help my child express themselves in a way that will serve and empower them, to help them use their voice, to help them learn how to speak, to help them learn how to coordinate themselves when they're in a crowd, to let them know how to present themselves, to let them know how to jump, not to jump into conversations that they are not invited in. Do you understand? So when you accept your child, you can now start paying attention to how you need to show up to them as a parent, because nobody is perfect, no child is perfect. But for you to be able to do this, you have to first of all learn the art of accepting yourself. Because if we have not accepted ourselves, if we are constantly judging ourselves, if we are constantly living our lives to please people, then we would also project that on our children. We'll also project that mindset, that behavior. So this is where you find some parents who, because you're in public, you know that your child is outspoken, you know that your child likes to feel, likes to touch, likes to dance, but because you're in public, because you don't want people to think, you don't want people to say, you're not telling your child, keep quiet, no, you want to embarrass me, and all of that, because we have not come to that place where we have accepted ourselves, where we have accepted our children, and where we're living from a place of true authenticity. And what authenticity means is that you accept yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, right? And as far as you can express yourself as far as it's ecological. And what I mean by expressing yourself as far as it's ecological means that I would express myself without a care of what another person thinks, as far as I'm not hurting people, as far as my ability to express myself is not bringing another person down or causing another person discomfort, right? So if I love to dance, I can come out and dance. So if my dancing is making you feel embarrassed, it shouldn't be my problem, right? If my dancing is making you feel like you shouldn't be my friend again, it shouldn't be my problem. But my only decision at that time, or my only care at that time, is that I really hear a good music and my body feels like dancing, and I'm dancing, I'm not hurting anybody, I'm not in the way of anybody, right? And this is a gift that we should give to our children, because in that way they're able to find themselves, they're able to live out their true selves without being shrunk, without being broken, without their personality being changed to adjust and to suit people and to please people. And that is the only way that they can, in their journey of life, find out what their true calling is, what their true purpose is, and live out all God has, called them to be. For somebody to fulfill purpose is for somebody to be daring enough to take instructions from God and to run with it without a care, right? So why a lot of us don't fulfill purpose is because we have been conditioned to look around and say, oh, is this good? Is this person comfortable? Is this person happy with me? Without actually looking at the man upstairs to say, is this what he's telling me to do? Right? And these are one of the things that most of our the style of parenting that we have received in the past has cost us. Some of the traumas that we have received in the past has cost us, to become people pleasers, to become people who are afraid of making mistakes, to become people who are constantly benchmarking our choices and decisions on other people's expectations and all of that, right? So are we still together before I move on? If we're still together, are we still together before I move on? Let me hear if you have been following so far. Let me hear in the chat box. Let me hear I'm following in the chat box. And if I'm
Yes, yes, yes. We are following. Can you see the
Thank you,
chat
okay.
box?
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Nuruddin. Thank you to everyone in the chat box. All right, so that being said, having made us understand what it means to actually do parenting right, having made us understand what it means to find ourselves, having made us understand why we need to find ourselves, if I'm to categorize every parent on the planet of the earth based on, our experiences and based on how we show up to the parenting relationship, we would have four categories of parents, right? Would have four categories of parents. This is a time to write now. If you have if you have your paper, your pen, put this down. So we would have four categories of parents. And the first category of parents that we might have are people who are what we call fuzzy parents. And what does it mean to be a fuzzy parent? What it means to be a fuzzy parent is that you are confused, right? You don't quite get a hang of what you're doing. You don't even understand what your vision is with parenting. You don't understand who you are. You don't have a great sense of direction. You don't understand who the child in front of you is. You don't have an idea of what the personality of this child is and where you're leading this child. And this is a fuzzy parent. And for a fuzzy parent, it doesn't mean that if you find yourself to be a fuzzy parent, that all hope is lost, right? The fuzzy parents, yes, you're not quite there. You don't have a definition, you don't have a direction yet, you don't have a clear vision yet or a clear idea of where you're headed, right? But with clarity and with a clear vision, you can start working your way up to becoming the parent that you need to be with your child. That's the first category. That's the fuzzy parent, right? The second category of parents that we might have, if we're to categorize parents, are what we call the dreaded parents, right? So these kind of parents, They actually might know their children, right? They know who their children are. They have a great sense of, what they want to achieve with their children. They have a clear vision. This is the kind of parent who is saying, I want to raise a disciplined child, I want to raise a responsible child. They have it all clear. But the problem with this is that based on their experiences and based on their traumas, the way they are going about it is a way that makes their children to dread them, right? The way that they are going about it is the way that make their children to dread them. They don't focus on connection. They don't really have a connection with their children, but they are doing everything right. They are enforcing discipline. They are instilling discipline, but they are losing connection. And the problem with this is that at the end of the day, you might raise a child who in front of you is disciplined, who in front of you is responsible, but who cannot wait to get out of your house so that they can express themselves and go wild. And even if they don't leave your house and become wild, you might lose them, right? The moment they leave your house, you might lose them. Remember that you only have 18 years to do active parenting. So by the time your child is getting into university, one leg is out, because from there, all things being equal, we expect our children to go to school, graduate, get a job, or start a business and start their own life, right? So if you're a dreaded parent, chances are, yes, you might be doing all the things and ticking all the boxes, but without connection, your child cannot wait to leave your house. And the moment they leave, you have lost them. You have lost that direction. You have lost that connection with them. And in worst cases, what happens is that your child leaves your house and they want to do everything that you never allow them to do because you made those things look like they were missing out on something, right? So that's the second category of parents. And as I'm talking, you can just use your head to scan and know what category you fall into, right? And the third category of parents are the people that we call the liberal parents, right? So these are like where most of the new generation parents are falling into, right? I like to tell people that when we say, oh, be proactive, be conscious, be intentional, pay attention to who your child is, connect with your child, we're not saying be permissive. We are not saying be permissive. We're not saying don't instill discipline in your child. We're not saying don't correct your child when they are wrong. We're not saying allow your child to control you. You are still the parents, right? So the liberal parents are the people who they are getting it right with the connection. They're the ones who are saying, oh, I want to be my child's friend. Oh, I don't want to hurt my child. I don't want to, hurt my child. But then they're not getting it right with discipline, right? Even though they know, oh, I should, be raising a responsible child. I should have a direction. I should have a clear vision. I should know where I'm leading this child to. They don't quite get a hang of the structure and the discipline and the boundaries that is required to do the parenting to raise a wholesome human being. Because at the end of the day, the goal, remember, is a wholesome human being who will fulfill purpose, right? So if you're not providing discipline, if you're not providing boundaries for your child, you might raise a child who loves you and who you're connected to, and they will not have the character that is required to fulfill purpose. Because for anybody to become great in life, discipline and responsibility is a very major component, right? So for the child that you love, you must provide discipline, you must provide boundaries, you must teach delayed gratification. You must be a parent, and you must provide the structures for your parents, so for your children. So the liberal parents do not provide that structure needed to raise children who will fulfill purpose. And the last category of parents, remember I said that if we were to categorize each parent, that we would group them into four, right? And the last category of parents are the people I like to call the power parents. A power parent is proactive, a power parent is conscious, a power parent is intentional. A power parent has a clear vision, a power parent has clear action plans, a power parent has a clear roadmap. They understand where they are and they know where they are going to. A power parent has done their inner work, and when I mean inner work, they have done they have reconnected to their authentic self. Remember when we started this conversation, I said that the first thing that you need to do is to reconnect to your authentic self, because it is that your authentic self that is required to raise the authentic version of your child, right? So a power parent has done the inner work needed to show up to the child in front of them as who they are. They know the child in front of them. They know the child's strengths. They know the child's weaknesses. They know how to show up for that child and where they need to focus on per time so that they can help their child. For each age range with your children, there is a different thing to focus on. Even in a year, right? Even in a year, you can have a large focus of. So, for instance, in a year, you can decide that, okay, this year, what I'm working on is to teach my children. Let's say you have a child who is quiet by nature, withdrawn and shy, right? So let's say this year your focus should be on teaching your children to assert themselves based on things that you're seeing happening, how children are being taken advantage of, right? So you can have a large focus of saying, okay, my goal this year is to teach my child to assert themselves. And that goal or that vision can still be broken down along the year, where, okay, for the first quarter we're teaching my child how to speak up when somebody is doing something that they don't appreciate. And the next quarter you're saying, okay, my goal this year is to teach my children how to stand in front of a crowd and just have a conversation, or how to walk up to somebody that they haven't had a conversation with, to have a conversation with them. Now remember, you're not changing your child to become very outspoken or to become the social butterfly, but you're teaching your child that regardless of the fact that you are a quiet person, you are on the reserved spectrum of the personality spectrum, but you still have instances where you need to speak up for yourself, where you need to stand up for yourself, where you might need to make presentation in front of a crowd. And my duty as a parent is to help you navigate those uncomfortable situations, that are uncomfortable for the personality that you have, and help you learn how to navigate in such instances, right? So a power parent understand, I say this to say that a power parent understand where they are in the journey, and they know how to lead their children to where they ought to be. And essentially, the whole journey of parent is the journey of becoming. So as your child is becoming, you are also becoming, because a lot of us, all of us, are broken people based on the experiences that we have had, based on the training that we have gotten, based on the informations that we have had all our lives, right? So as we journey, as we become elevated, as we become awakened, we are becoming a better version of ourselves. And the focus is for us to be aligned with who we originally are, so that we can raise children who will be aligned with themselves, who are not living another person's life, who are living as God has made them, so that they can do all God has created them to do. So it doesn't matter where you fall into this category of parents that I have mentioned. It doesn't matter if you're a fuzzy parent, it doesn't matter if you're a dreaded parent, it doesn't matter if you're a liberal parent. The goal is that all of us can journey to becoming power parents, so that we can actually be in that position to guide our children. If you find yourself that you are a fuzzy parent, what you need to focus on is to work on the clarity that you should have, right? What is this whole parenting about? What's the vision that I need to have? What direction am I going to? Who am I, and who is this child in front of me? Try to ask the right questions. The more quality questions you ask, the more quality answers that you can get, right? So if you are a dreaded parent, right, if you find yourself that you're tilting towards being a dreaded parent, then your focus should be on, yes, you have your clear visions, yes, you know the kind of child you want to raise, and yes, you are ticking the boxes in that regard. But what is happening to your connection? Who is this child in front of me, and how best can I connect with this child? How can I ensure that I'm in my child's life and my child is in my life, and we are connected to each other, and we are doing this discipline and responsibility thing without it hurting each other, without it creating a rift in the relationship that we are building, right? And if you find that you're tilting towards being a liberal parent, the kind of parent who doesn't understand boundaries, who is not providing the boundaries and the structures and the discipline that their children need, then that is where you need to focus on. Yes, you have gotten it all right with the connection. You are your child's friend, you understand your child, you know what they want, you know how to communicate with them, you know how to show up for them. But again, you have to provide the boundaries, you have to provide the discipline, you have to learn the art of helping your child understand that yes, we are friends, or yes, I got you, right? But then when it's time to break the rapport, when it's time to be serious, when it's time to take instructions, and when it's time to do the things that you ought to do, you have to do the things that you ought to do. And if you don't do those things, it comes with consequences. And when it's time to implement those consequences, I'm going to implement those consequences, but I still love you and I still got you and I'm doing this for you, right? So that's where you need to focus on if you find yourself to be a liberal parent. And the journey for all of us, whether you are a fuzzy parent, whether you are a dreaded parent, or whether you're a liberal parent, the journey for us is to work towards becoming a power parent who is proactive, who is intentional, who is focused, who has a clear vision, who is conscious and elevated, who has walked the journey of healing their own trauma so that they can reconnect with themselves, and so that they can show up to the parenting relationship in a way that serves and empowers their children. And this is the journey that we have to walk. And you might be listening to me and be saying, oh, okay, this is where I fall in and this is what I have to do. Sometimes, yeah, you can do this work by yourself, right? You can do this work of walking the journey of wherever you are to where you want to be, which is becoming a power parent. But why do you want to prolong the process, right? Sometimes you need people to help you walk that journey and make it faster and shorter than you might have to do it if you're doing it alone. Gone are the days where we say, oh, I don't need anybody. I remember back in 2016 when I started coaching parents, when somebody said, then they coach person for parenting, then they read book for parenting. Gone are the days when we still have that kind of mindset, right? You cannot do things by default. The prize is so huge, right? The prize is your child's life, the prize is your child's destiny, and we cannot keep on playing by default, right? If you're struggling, if you find out that with everything that we have been talking about, you find out that there is a gap in how you're doing things, and you find out that you truly need help, please don't be proud, don't be shy to reach out and ask for help, because your child's life depends on it, your child's destiny depends on it. And at the end of the day, when you stand in front of God, what He's going to ask you is, this is the child I have given to you, and this is the purpose that I have given to this child. How were you able to lead this child into this purpose? You have 18 years to do parenting actively. By the time your child is 18 and hopefully leaving your house for college, hopefully leaving your house for university, your child should have a sense of direction in who they are and who they are, what they are on earth to do. And that is when you can say, I am winning in parenting and I am doing this parenting thing right, right? And my prayer for all of us is that as we journey through this whole process, that all our labor of love will be rewarded bountifully in Jesus' name. Amen. So that would be it. I don't know if we have any question. Okay, you're back.
Yes. So, Doctor, I
I
think
can't hear you.
you can
Bit
hear
low.
me.
It's a bit low.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I don't
Oh
know
my
if
God.
others can hear you.
Can anyone hear me? Let me be sure.
It's
Please
echoing, but I don't know.
let me know from the comments. Can anybody hear me? Can anyone hear me? I want to know from the comments. I'm yet to see. Okay, people say they can hear me. Can you hear me, doctor?
Okay, maybe it's from my own end anyway. But go ahead. I can hear you, but it's quite faint, right? It's quite faint.
Okay. So if you can hear me, please drop your questions for Dr. Vivian. Um, Someone once asked me.
Thank you, OKZA. Thank you so much. I see your comments. Yes,
Come,
Janie.
come.
He says, yes, someone once asked me if parenting can be taught. Yes, that's you know, a lot of people say that, do I have to learn to be a parent? The truth of the matter is that you haven't been a parent before, and for you to do something that you haven't done before, you have to learn. You haven't even if you have been a parent before, you haven't parented that particular child, because all children are different, right? So you might think, oh, my first child was calm, this is how we did it, and then you have your second child and she's a whole different personality altogether, and you have to relearn and do things differently. So yeah, now we have to learn. And again, is that the odds are no longer in our favor, right? The odds are not in our favor. It's not like in the times way back where there was community parenting, where people were fairly good people, where predators were not out there, mad people were not out there, people who want to take advantage of your children were not out there. Now you have to go the extra mile to actually show up for your child and empower them so that they can thrive in the kind of society that we have today. There are a lot of things that are working against us and against our children. So we have to be proactive, as it were, to actually do things right.
So doctor's comments are still coming in, and they are raving you for being calm and impactful.
Thank you, Mr. OK. Thank you, Orogun Afokogene. I hope I did not murder your name. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we don't have questions. In fact, this session is so self-explanatory. But I have a question myself. You mentioned 4 categories of parents. Really? Doctor can't hear me. My God. Okay, maybe you check your comments. Yeah, it's from her end. Doctor, it's
I
from
don't
your
know
end.
if I have to leave and come back. Maybe I should leave and come back. Maybe I would hear you. Okay, let me see.
Okay, can you hear me?
Should I
Can you hear
leave
me?
and come back?
Okay, okay,
Let me leave and come back and see if I can hear you, right?
okay, okay. So as we wait for doctor, if you have any question for doctor, please put it down in the comment section. I know that her session is very self-explanatory, but we may also have people who may want to ask 1 or 2 things about finding yourself as a parent, because many of us, 90% of us, actually live the inauthentic life because that's the way we're raised, and so we're not living our life, and because we're not living our life, we can't also raise children who are authentic.
I
So,
can hear
doctor,
you
can
now.
you hear me now?
Yes.
So the first category of parents that you mentioned,
Yes.
um, I don't know. I didn't get that name well. I'm trying
The
to.
fuzz, the fuzzy parents. FUZZY. The fuzzy
Okay,
parents.
the fuzzy parents. Okay, the
Yes.
fuzzy.
Yes.
Good.
Fuzzy.
The fuzzy, because
Yeah.
someone said that she's realizing now the categories of parents,
Yeah.
and she can
Yeah.
find herself in the categories you mentioned. So,
Yeah. Okay.
um,
Yeah.
okay, they also said, honestly, your thoughts were clearly communicated. I don't think I have any questions. Very simply. Okay, good. So people are
Thank.
saying that your Your session is self-explanatory. You explained them well and you communicated them calmly and very calculated. Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you.
we
Thank
don't
you.
have questions. Yeah. Thank you so much for this session. I know how
Thank
tight your schedule is. And that's why I'm telling parents who are watching you now that getting you on board is gold. I know it.
thank
Doctor is on
you.
her way coming back from work and she had to park somewhere to do this for us. So
Yeah.
we don't take this for granted. We are so grateful that you have you here do
Welcome.
this for
You're
us.
welcome.
We're going to
You're
be
welcome.
sharing Dr. Vivian's handle on social media so that we can also follow her thoughts, follow her teachings, follow her on all of our social media platform where we can also get more impact from all of the things that doctor do, for parents. So, doctor, thank you so very much for doing this
Thank
for us
you.
and with us.
Thank you
We are
so much.
grateful.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. And do
Thank
not
you for having
hesitate to also come in when we need you to come in.
me. No wahala.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So I've gotten that first, the name Fuzzzy, right, doctor?
Yeah,
Okay. So
fuzzy.
he's saying the
Yes.
first, yeah,
Yeah, the
fuzzy
fuzzy
parents.
parent. Yes,
Good.
yes.
So okay, the Fuzzzy. That's the first category of parents that doctor shared about. So thank you so much very much.
All
Thank you
right.
so very much
All
for
right.
doing
All
this.
right. Thank
God
you. Thank you.
bless you. Do have an amazing night.
All right.
All right, this is the last session, and this brings to conclusion the session of today. If you have enjoyed these sessions, please share your aha moments in the comment section. If it was impactful, send in love emojis. I love to send in love emojis. I love to spread love. Send in love emojis in the comment section. Send in the fire emojis so that people will know that this session was very impactful. It gave us or brought in Rema from heaven. That's what we want to all our parents to be sharing in their social media handle in the comment section. Sending love emojis, sending fire emojis, so that we will know that this session was very impactful. Thank you so much, everybody. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe so that you won't be having interruptions while the sessions are ongoing. And in the community where we are sharing all of this conference prompts and notifications, we'll also be sharing our aha moments, sharing all of our learnings in the 3 sessions we had today. So this is just the beginning. They have watered the ground for the session, other sessions and other speakers that will come in. Thank you, Jenny, that will come in from tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be very explosive because it's going to be sessions that are dealing with um, parenting in the angle of partnership with your spouse. So you may want to help your partner to be in these sessions for tomorrow, because we're going to be treating exclusively on things that will help us walk and align with our spouses in this journey. Because the truth is, you cannot parent effectively if your marriage is not also working effectively. So you may have to share this link, share what you've learned today with your spouse, and let them also be part of the sessions tomorrow. So we will see you again in the community where we'll be sharing all other things. God bless you for being here. Share the link with other parents. Let them know that there's something ongoing. In as much as we say that this conference is free, nothing is free even in Freetown. It has been paid for. The academy paid for this conference, and we academy also have partners that partner with us in this journey, and they have also supported us to be able to have this conference shared for free, bringing in all these coaches, professors, doctors. It's not easy having them. It's not easy getting access to them, and bringing them is gold. I know what I'm saying is gold. So subscribe to this channel. Subscribe so that you can be part of the conversations that are ongoing. Share the channel with every parent, every friend of yours, your circles. Share it everywhere. Let people know. Let people get in this impact. That you're getting also. That we say is free is not free. It has been paid for. Let others know. And I keep saying, and I've said it again and again, that the world understands system, the world understands awareness. If it is the LGBTQ community, it will go viral because They want their message to be heard all over the world. So you also, as a child of light, let this message be heard all over the world by you sharing this message, sharing the channel, sharing the link for others to register. Let them come and get impacted also. Let them come and get this transformation that we're all getting from the gifting that God has given to men through the speakers that we have on board. Professors, doctors, experts on different areas, amazing people. God bless you for being here. God bless you for also being a blessing to other parents by sharing the message that we have through our channel and through the link that others will also subscribe and also get this information and the knowledge you are sharing. And so we will give us all the feedback that we need to get about the other things we need to hear in the community. God bless you and do have an amazing, amazing evening. We'll see you in the community where we are sharing about the conference. Get ready for tomorrow. It's going to be get sweeter, get better, and get more beautiful. Do have an amazing evening.